Hello lovely internet people, my name is Stephanie Lynnette and welcome back to my channel and to part two of Stephanie Lynnette answers your anonymous questions. So in my last video, I kept getting lost on my messages. So I decided to just screenshot all of the new ones. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 more questions to go. And let's just dive straight in, shall we? And in case anyone's wondering, this fetching little thing next to me, which definitely does not have a gender, but absolutely is wearing my trans pride flower crown, is Wimbledob. He is called Wimbledob, sorry. They are called Wimbledob. Well, they might go by he, they, she pronouns. Anyway. Called Wimbledob because I was purchased them when I was recovering from my sexual reassignment surgery, and when I was very high on morphine I could not say Wimbledon and he became Wimbledob, and that is the story. Everyone say hi to Wimbledob. Okay, so first question back, trusty phone, it's all going on. What was the last film you watched? What was the last film I watched? I watched Brother Bear on Disney Plus. And before that I watched Lightyear. And before that I watched Atlanta. I like Disney films, okay? Okay, just so everyone's clear. But I'm going to an immersive theatre show tomorrow and I'll be watching Guardians of the Galaxy, which is still a Disney film. So maybe I'm just, you know, sucker for the corporate world, who knows? Who knows? Hey, I just wanted to say you're awesome and that's all. Sometimes I want to pay the subscription fee to find out who wrote these really nice messages. I think you're awesome, anonymous person on the internet, and thank you so much for recognizing my talents. No, but seriously, thank you so much. I think I'm okay too. Not awesome, just okay. If you could go back, oh, this is a serious question, okay. If you could go back and transition again, what would you do differently, if anything, i.e. hormones, surgery? I think you're a great role model and advocate for transgender women too. Okay, so I don't think I'm a great role model or advocate, and I really hope no one is basing their transition off of me because I am a terrible example of how to do everything. But thank you very, very much for that lovely, lovely compliment. If I could go back and do my transition again, what would you do differently? What would I do differently? I wouldn't be as afraid as I was of my doctors. I was very afraid to speak up to my doctors when I was a trans youth, and I would like to go back and change that. I would like to have more confidence in myself. I would like to have an awareness of how lucky I was to have the body that I had, and then just lost it. Now I look like a potato loading in an Elder Scrolls game. I would not miss the medical appointment I missed in 2019. And I think that's it. I might have waited until my older sister finished school before I came out as trans, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I also wish I had more money, but that's it. I mean, I come from a very low class background, so anyway, I hope that helps. What is the museum about? Okay, so up until recently, I worked for a museum called Queer Britain. So Queer Britain is the UK's first LGBTQ+ museum in the United Kingdom. And I was the front of house, visitor experience, events and volunteers managers. I did 4 jobs in one person. I gave them every weekend of my life for 6 months and then I left because I couldn't do that anymore. And I've got quite a big life change coming up, which I'm excited to share with you all, but I'm very nervous about. So that is what the museum was about. So yeah, someone put miss our talks with a drooling face on it. Well, I know who this person was. And do you know what's really funny? Is I engaged in one of our talks, a new one of our talks, so to say. And it was really shit. And the conversation was terrible, terrible. You can message me something like, oh, I miss our talks, and then not be able to hold up your end of an intellectual conversation. Stupid chaser. What has been your favourite and most challenging moment while opening the museum? My favourite moment was being the person who opened the doors on the UK's first LGBTQ+ museum. I was the person who actually physically got to open the doors on the museum when it opened. So that was amazing. And my other favourite part was recruiting the United Kingdom's first ever entirely LGBTQ+ identifying front of house team. So if you don't work in heritage, then this won't mean much to you. But the front of house team in heritage is like the ticketing department and the retail assistants and the visitor experience assistants and anyone who works in like a front facing role. And so I got to recruit the entire team, which was lovely. And I got to recruit an entirely LGBTQ+ identifying team. Something I was really keen on doing in that role was spotlighting queer voices, not only in what was represented on the walls, which was kind of the extent of all the museum was doing, to be honest, but I also wanted to spotlight queer voices within the retail space and within the team. So you could walk into the museum and you could see yourself represented on the walls, you could speak to your peers in the front of house team, and you could support queer creatives in the commercial space. So it was really important for me to have like multiple touch points of like queer kind of joy everywhere that could be. So those were my favorite things. The most challenging thing was working with a lot of middle-aged white cisgendered gay men who didn't understand the voice of like a young queer trans woman. That was quite challenging. And I wasn't initially meant to be the events manager for the space. I keep playing with my hair, I don't know why. I wasn't initially meant to be the events manager for the space, but I ended up managing all 3 of the launch events because the person who was supposed to do it dropped out last minute. So that was also very, very challenging for myself. And leaving was really challenging because it's a space that I thought I was going to be part of for a really, really long time. But after a while I was just running on empty, and then this opportunity to like kind of drastically change my life happened, and then yeah, so leaving was probably really challenging as well, to be honest. Do you still smoke? If so, quit. I actually answered this in the first one of these videos. I don't currently smoke. I smoke if I'm drinking, because I'm a fat person, and I like being outside when I'm warm, and I like being freezing cold. So I will often take cigarettes with me to a club, up in the club, so I can go out and have a smoke and pretend to drag on a cigarette so I can be in the cold and it doesn't just look like I'm sweating for no reason. So yeah. But I don't currently have a pack of cigarettes anywhere in my house, and I haven't smoked a cigarette since March? I'm gonna say March. What are your best tips for coming out and transitioning, as I am really struggling? I did answer this in my first question. My best tips for coming out are to be kind to yourself, to do your research, to make sure you're surrounded by a really good support network of people, and have money put aside if you can. If you can afford it, then absolutely put money aside, because transitioning is really expensive. And don't forget that it's a really, really, really long process. You know, don't beat yourself up because you're not achieving things immediately, because it's a very long-winded process and you need to be really kind to yourself. So yeah, I would say be kind to yourself, but also make sure you've got a good support network, make sure you've got trans friends, make sure you reach out to the right people, like, you know, reaching out to me and asking me my advice. So you can always DM me if you want to. I don't always respond to DMs about transitioning because It's not my responsibility to help people, and I will try and help people as much as I can, but when I'm running at my emotional capacity, I can't take in additional struggle. But you know, send me a message, and when I can, I'll respond to it, and when I'm feeling up to it, I'll respond to it. But there are also some amazing charities. So I'm a trustee for Gendered Intelligence. You could Gendered Intelligence, you could go to Mermaids if you're under the age of, I think, 21. You could go to Not a Phase, who I did a series of videos on back in 2021. So there's lots of research opportunities, but yeah, reach out to people, but be considerate of the fact that people don't owe you self-education. Do your research, be kind to yourself, and make sure you've got a really good support network behind you is what I'd say. And just remember, it's one step at a time. You know, you're gonna be so eager to do everything all at once, and that's okay. It's okay to be excited and to be affirmed, but don't compare yourself to other people's journeys, and don't compare your transition to other people's transitions, because they're so different. I really need to burp, sorry, excuse me. Okay, next up, how to fully transition. Now, this is quite a loaded question, and one that requires a lot more depth than I'm going to give it in this video. There is no right way to fully transition. You also don't have to fully transition in what would be kind of like the socially assumed connotation of what fully transition means. Bearing in mind, transition means many different things to many different people. However, the idea in society of a full transition means surgeries, and maybe cosmetic surgery, and hormones, and therapy, and GIC, and all of those processes. So the best way to do it is get into your doctors as soon as possible for a referral. Try not to take illegal hormones on the internet. Go to places like 5016 Street, who will be able to set you up with your hormones, not a problem. And just be patient. Takes a really long time. My transition took well over a decade. So just be patient, and then remember that you don't have to pass, you don't have to have surgery, you don't have to have invasive cosmetic procedures. You can, you know, live and exist as a fluid, non-passing, trans-identifying individual. Like there's no right way to transition, and I think a question like this needs a little bit more depth in terms of like its own dedicated video. But to fully transition is just get into the doctors as soon as you can, and if you can afford it, put some money aside. You have no idea how expensive transitioning is, so money aside. I love this question so much. Can you see that? Wait. Yes, I am trans. Yes, I am. I'm trans, I'm successful, I'm very attractive. What an idiot. What's your fave thing about being a tran? So, I mean, I'm not a tran, I'm trans. My favorite thing about being trans is, in society, sorry, this is like a deep thinking moment. In society, people struggle to find their identities, and they go off searching for themselves, and I'm going to Africa to volunteer to find myself, or I need to spend months backpacking through the Serengeti and going to Asia and the Middle East. And the thing I love most about being trans is you get to create yourself, you get to create your own identity, and your own self-fulfillment comes from within and comes from realizing a goal that you had a long time ago. So my favorite thing about being trans is the ability to create yourself and to create your own narrative in a way that's really brave outside of what kind of stereotypical cisgendered living is. And I think that that's probably where a lot of transphobia comes from, because people are scared of the power that we've had to create our own identities and to not have to struggle to find ourselves, to have made ourselves. I don't need to find myself because I made myself. That's my favorite thing about being trans. What are a few of the small joys that you have in your boss bitch life? So in case you couldn't tell by my current size, one of my favorite things is food. all of the food, all of the time. Eating all of the food is my favorite thing. I love it. It's great. I like watching TV. I like going to galleries. I love going for walks. I'm a big walker. I like buying clothes. I really like buying clothes. And I like seeing my friends, although I've been doing less of that recently. It's really nice to see my friends and to kind of chill and compartmentalize down and things like that. Do you have a fun fact? Okay, so this question comes with their own fun fact. Mine is that koalas have the closest fingerprints to humans. Several koalas are currently doing time for crimes they never committed. Donate now to help wrongfully imprisoned koalas near you. Fun fact. This made me laugh and also made me question the people that follow me. And that is my fun fact. No, my fun fact is that I have a Simpsons tattoo on my left arm. No question, I just think you're hot AF. I mean, with a body like this, you're completely wrong. Thank you very much. I'm glad that someone thinks so. Do you like licking a guy out? Okay, so we've gotten into these questions. If it's clean, yes, love it. What empowers you? I think being so outspoken empowers me. And although I mentioned in this video or last video that my height is a big insecurity of mine, I like physically taking up more space and occupying more space in the world than a lot of other humans. I find that very empowering. I find my stature very empowering. I find my ability to articulate my thoughts and feelings in specific settings very empowering. I find all of my career achievements very empowering. Yeah, I think those are the things I find empowering. I love the charity work I do as well. I love participating in all of that, having worked for charities for multiple years now. I would say massively empowers me, yeah. And YouTube empowers me, which is why I'm back, which is why I'm here doing it again. What is your sexual guilty pleasure? What is my sexual guilty pleasure? Choking? It's not really a guilty pleasure. Neither spanking. Oh, I like public stuff and turning people on in public. That's probably my guilty pleasure. Okay. Is this the last question? This is the last question. Oh my God, okay. This is quite a good question to end on actually. If you had to listen to one song for the last time, which song would it be and why? So my favorite song is by Priscilla Ann and it's called Dream, and I absolutely love that song. It's my favorite song of all time, and I have several really good songs. I'm loving the new Lizzo album, Special. To Be Loved is my everything at the moment. But the song that probably means the most to me is Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell. So when I woke up from my sexual reassignment surgery, I looked at my vagina and I listened to Both Sides Now and I cried. And that's the song I'd like to die listening to as well, because it's a very transitional song. And so I'd probably listen to Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell, or Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell covered by Helena Bonham Carter, because she did like a charity cover of it once. So yeah, that would be my last song. And that's all of the questions. Thank you so much to everyone who wrote me an anonymous question. I hope you liked your answer. I'll be posting them on Instagram in the series that I'm putting them in the video, so it'll be some one week and then some the next week. So thank you so much for sending me your anonymous questions. And I'm really excited to be back. Like I said before, I'm not going to put time constraints on it. I'm not going to stretch myself far beyond anything. But there are a lot of changes happening in my life, a lot of monumental shifts, which I'm very excited to share with you all. And it's really nice to be back. And I hope it was nice for you to see me again. And I hope you had a bit of a laugh. And I will see you hopefully very soon for another video. Bye, my lovelies. I missed you so much.